American women are often threatened by these loser ass dudes that they're going to go to a foreign country and get a woman because American women ain't shit. We're too spoiled. We're too negative. We don't know how to treat a man the way a man should be treated. And we don't have traditional values anymore because of feminism and blah, 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 blah. The bottom line, though, is when you look at the dudes who are complaining like that, they're all losers. They can't get a woman in the United States or in the UK or in Canada or in any of these other kind of, countries where people are not considered third world. They don't have the skill set. They might have some money, they might have some intellect, they might even, they like, as far as professionally, they might even be at the top of their game there. But when we're talking about the social skills, the skills that it takes to be able to communicate well with a woman, to show the proper support, and to get things off the ground, these guys don't have that skill set. So what do? They get angry. They're lonely, they're horny. I can understand feeling that way and the frustration involved in it, in trying, to get a woman and you just being unsuccessful year after year after year. But if you look at them, it's like they keep doing the same thing over and over exactly the same way. You don't change your wardrobe. You don't go to the gym to get your body right. You're looking like the Pillsbury Doughboy or the Michelin Man. And you got like 15 chins and shit. A belly that sticks out and enters the room a good 10 seconds before the rest of your body. What the fuck is that? Who you think want to fuck you? You can't even find your dick under all that gut. So, I'm looking at these dudes and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And they talk about stupid stuff. Oh, now let me just tell you where I've been all over the internet because, I keep trying to come up with topics and talk about things that we don't even really think about. I mean, it's like stuff we hear and we absorb the energy from it. Usually the energy is negative, but I like to slow things down and say, okay, well, this person said this. Why did they say that? What are they thinking? Where did that thought come from? What motivated that behavior? See, these are the kind of things that I sit back and analyze. And then, now that I have this, I'm using my YouTube channel that I've had since 2009, by the way. I'm finally using it. But this gives me an opportunity to vent, using my voice versus writing a lot of the thoughts that I have and share with you, my analysis of these various situations that impact us socially and romantically. So this is one because this is a threat that's flung at women a lot, especially black women. Well, I guess the black and white women. We both hear this a lot from these disgruntled dudes that are angry they're not getting what they want from us. So they have this thing, right? It used to be catalogs. They used to send them in the mail. But now everything's on the internet. So what used to be called mail order catalog brides are now internet sites. And it's just like a dating site. You go on there, the women have all their pictures, right? And it says, what country they're from, what languages they speak, if they speak English or French or whatever, and their height, their weight, their measurements, what their astrological sign. I mean, there's all kind of information there. The men go through there and pick the women based on what the women look like, which woman they want to meet. Okay, so there are these companies that you can either just write the woman like like a regular internet dating site, or they have these kind of businesses where they set these dweebs up for anywhere between $2,000 and $10,000, depending upon the location of the tour, the number of stops of the tour, and the country of the tour. um, the cost involved will be between $2,000 and $10,000. That these guys go for a week or two to these foreign countries and interact with structured social events with these women. So the goal is they're supposed to be like on this tour to meet a bride or a girlfriend, whatever. So when you look at that and you look at the way that those things are set up, because the women, I mean, once they get with you, I mean, those cultures expect that you as the brother-in-law, the wealthy brother-in-law, the American or British or whatever you are, brother-in-law, you're going to take care of your bride's family. That's what they expect. You're going to start sending home money to her once you guys are an official couple. Now, when you consider the rate of exchange, like for in the UK, say you're changing money to, I don't know, a Thai dollar. the ratio of exchange rate is about at currently about $1.25, $1.30 for the pound to the Thai dollar. I forgot what I looked it up a couple of days ago for the U.S., but I forgot what it was. But bottom line is, you get way more value in the foreign countries for your American dollar or your British pound. So these guys are sending a measly 200, whatever, back to these people. That helps these people come up and live like a king. So of course they're going to be interested. And what's really so sad about it is these guys here in America will gripe about the money that they have to spend on American woman, like maybe to take her to dinner, which is, what, 60, $70. Probably not even that much, again, depending upon where you live. um, and like buy her a gift or something, and pay some attention to her and drive around in a little car, whatever. But they'll use money to pay for a plane ticket. They will pay all the fees involved with getting her a visa. They will send money home to her country. They will have international phone bills. They will fly her back and forth. They will deal with sending her, supporting her family. And so in the long run, what have they done? They spent way more money than they would have dealing with an American. The same American that they claim is just out to get their money. Okay, that's one perspective. Their math is fucked up. There's something wrong there. The second thing is you got to consider is, they talk about American women being gold diggers and being spoiled and, just trying to use them for some money. Honey, let me tell you about the stories that's online, these nightmare stories about these dudes getting with these chicks and getting taken for everything that they have. See, what these white boys and you Negroes don't understand is this: you are geeks, weirdos. You don't have much experience with women, so you don't recognize a calculating woman when you see one. You think that because somebody is American, that they have a specific mindset that's out to get you. So your mind, your mind is not wrapped around the fact that just because somebody speaks with an accent or doesn't speak English, that don't mean they don't have game, and they got way more game than you. You know why? Because they're desperate. When you have people that are in a situation where they have nothing to lose, they're always going to win over you because they have nothing to fucking lose. So no matter what they get out of you, it's still a come up. See, where you're looking at, well, I only spent this and that, so I got away, reasonably unscathed. That's not how the game is played. If they get $1 out your ass, they still got over. See, that y'all not thinking right. So you think you going over to these foreign countries thinking that these women are all innocent and shit because you believe all those stereotypes that you see on the website. You're dumb. You're stupid. And so you get taken. Let me tell you, and it's also dangerous for the brides, but let me tell you about some of the stuff that I was reading. Now, this some years ago, I like to watch the ID channel and all those forensic files and all this stuff. And I remember seeing a story about a woman who had come from the Philippines and married this white dude who used to keep her locked in the house and wouldn't let her go anywhere, let her do anything. And he used to like sexually assault her and treated her like a slave. Well, as I was flipping around online over the last few days, I actually found articles about that story that they gave a little bit more information. Like I said, it was some years ago. I watched it. I don't remember the details, but they were talking about it. I mean, the guy got 30, 40 years for that murder, and it turned out that he had also murdered a previous foreign bride, and used to beat up his his American wife. I mean, dude was just a loser. And when you have these guys like this, they're so angry, right? They're so angry at women. Now, we hear it, right? Because we get to see it online and this and that. They don't show that side to the foreign women because they know that the women wouldn't want to be bothered with them. Their families would be like, oh, hell no. Because they have a beautiful daughter and it's like, multiple men trying to get at her. They're going to go not only with the highest bidder, but the one who's going to make sure that she's treated well. And so that, that money that this man is sending is going to keep rolling in. They don't want you doing nothing to their daughter because that's the money pot right there. So you guys, I don't know what you guys be thinking, but basically, it's a very risky situation for the young women, and I'll be talking about that in a minute as well. So what happens when you have these women? Why do they decide that they want to go into the matchmaking system? Like I said, a lot of it is about having few options to do anything else. Some of the countries, the ratio of women to men is greatly skewed, as much as 4 or 5 to 1, and so they want to I mean, if you want to have a family, you want to have a husband, and you want to be married, your only option is going to be to look outside of your municipality or possibly even your country to find a husband. So that's what's happening a lot in the Ukraine, and some, parts of what used to be, the USSR. So there's a lot more women than there are men. And the women are, they're marrying men all over Europe and United States to get up out of there and have some options. So the guys are, talking about when they look at the catalogs and stuff or meet the women, all they can talk about is, oh my God, they're so beautiful, this and that. And you got a whole bunch of dudes that's ugly. They don't know how to dress. They have poor social skills. They don't really interact with women. Their conversation is weak and stupid. I mean, and they just funny looking. Okay, so for them to get to even be that close to a woman who looks that beautiful. I mean, they're young, and they have brilliant smiles, and nice little figures, and and they want to get with a guy, so they're throwing themselves at these men, right? And wearing little short clothes, revealing clothes and stuff. And these dudes are going out of their mind. It's like a kid in a candy store. They don't fucking know what to do with themselves. So they end up getting with these very nice looking women. A lot of them, like I said, can't even really speak English, so they go into a situation where it's high risk for them to be abused because they don't know anybody. They're traveling halfway across the world, and they don't speak the language, and they don't have any resources other than what this man gives them. It's a perfect setup for human trafficking, as well as a lot of domestic violence and abuse by an angry man who's just out of control with jealousy and insecurity about having this woman that he so wanted to have for so long. So this dude, the one I was talking about, his name is Gary Swersky. He lived here in California, and he would get with these women, the immigrants that already lived here in California, and he was just abusing these chicks one after another. And then his daughter's the one who turned him in after she had to help him get rid of the body of his second wife, Filipino lady, after he killed her. And that's the story I was telling you about. And they live down in Sunnyvale, down in Silicon Valley. And that's where you see a lot of these foreign brides here, because these are the geeky guys, right? The computer engineers, software engineers, systems analysts, and stuff like that. Like I'm saying, they make a lot of money. Some of them have stock options. They, have shares in the companies. All kind of stuff has happened, and so that a lot of these guys are multimillionaires, but they're stupid, awkward, and ugly. And so they don't have any skills with women. So they get with these chicks. I mean, they live a nice life and everything financially, but the men don't treat them very well because they don't know how. They're not skilled at it. So you have a lot of women who, these foreign women, getting abused and murdered and everything. It was so bad. I don't know if you guys remember this. Some years ago, maybe about 10, 12 years ago, um, they passed this law that basically, what's it called? The International Marriage Broker Act or something like that. And basically, what it mandated is that when American men wanted to bring a foreign bride into this country, it forced them to have to go through a background check procedure. Now we have Homeland Security, which takes care of it, but um, in order for a company to circumvent the law, all they had to do was establish their base of operations outside the U.S., of course. So now it's, what they do is outside U.S. jurisdiction. And that unfortunately is, a way that a lot of them get around it. But it did at least provide a few checks and balances and probably saved many women's lives from getting involved with these nuts. And one guy, this is his quote. So, it's like, this is the mentality of the men. This is why they don't like American women. Listen to this shit here. You take a beautiful woman from the Czech Republic and you bring her into your home. She does all your cooking and cleaning and ironing. At the end of the day, the wife service is free. That's what they're looking at. And I, was watching this documentary, right? And I was amazed at this one guy. He was saying, like, when his wife, he finally brought her from Thailand after 6 months of, they got married in Thailand, but they had to wait for 6 months for her to get her visas to travel and all of that. And he was talking about how good the interviewer asked him, oh, won't it be nice to have, a woman's touch in your house? And he says, yeah, there'll be somebody to do chores. That's what he said. Then they asked, so the woman comes, right? And he's showing her around the house, and he's standing there in the kitchen. She's looking at everything. She kept saying, "Oh, it's so big, it's so nice." He kicks this cabinet that's underneath the sink, right? Like, so disrespectful. Like, he kicked it with his foot, and then he says, "That's your cabinet." And so she opens the door, right? The camera for the documentary zooms in on the contents of the cabinet, full of cleaning supplies. I mean, like, you can't fit another stuff in it. Windex and wet furniture wax and all kind of stuff in there, stuffed in there that he puts. That's yours, he says to her. And I'm like, "Oof, I wish this chick luck, because he's a piece of work." But I mean, who talks to the woman they're supposed to love like that? You see what I mean? It's about domination and control. They want someone that they can control. That is why they don't like American and British women, because we talk shit back to them. We don't let them control us like that. But that's what they want. They like this, submissive thing, and they want somebody to be a housewife and to cook and to clean, still work though, but to take, basically to take care of them. And one guy actually was saying, well, these are like our moms were at their, and grandmothers were at their age when they were 25. That's how our grandmothers and things were. That's what they want. They want to be taken care of, and they like a woman from a culture where men are promoted as being more important than the female. They love that shit. But what you see is a bunch of creepy old men, and men with very poor social skills, that have some really fucked up attitudes about women. I mean, when you look at these documentaries, it's deeply, deeply disturbing. The men's attitudes is really kind of frightening. And one guy's social skills were so bad, he was sitting up there. He was had been to Afghanistan, and he's meeting a woman, right? And the first thing he starts talking about is bombs dropping and running and hiding from, the war, the bullets and all this old stuff. Who what? Who wants to hear that? Why would you think that that would be appropriate conversation at a cocktail party where you're supposed to be getting to know a woman? Man, I'm telling you, like, you know what? I'm about to dodge another bullet, and that bullet is you. I'm out, and throw up the deuces. Now, what you got to do understand though is, on some respect, I understand where the guys are coming from, because everybody needs hope. You know what I mean? They're fucked up. They know they're fucked up. They keep batting out, but they still want to keep hope alive that they're going to have somebody in love. Somebody will love them and take care of them, and they'll be able to have children. Is this whole thing. They want to keep that hope alive. But what I'm saying is, when you look at the effort and energy and the expense involved of getting a bride from another country, and we haven't even begun to talk about the fees associated with, the legal costs of getting all the paperwork processed, flying her over here and all that stuff. Okay, now we're adding another, I don't know, 10, 15, depending upon where she's coming from and where you live, which country you're in, 10, 15, 20 grand that you have to get her here. Okay, then she can't work. I mean, you got to sponsor her. You got to make sure you have, the money to show that you can support her. Otherwise, they won't let her in the country. So, I mean, you got to have some money. So when you look at all of that, what are you guys really saving versus dealing with a woman who's already here? I'm not getting it. And it's like, you putting in all this effort to get these women there. Why can't you put that kind of effort into dealing with one of the women that's already here? Because there's like foreign-born women right here in the United States. I mean, they're gonna have a mixture of cultures. They're gonna have some American, but they're gonna also have the culture that their family raised them up with. So I don't really understand the logic there. Maybe if somebody can understand, can explain it to me, I would sure be interested in hearing it. But one thing I found that was kind of interesting, this list of the 10, like the best countries, and then of course the worst countries to find a foreign bride. And some of this, I mean, everybody's from countries that have lots of poverty, lots of aggressive problems socially, lots of unemployment, and that kind of thing. So basically, what these guys are doing is cherry picking women from environments where they have little to no economic options. So these women are, grateful for anything that they get, and that's, I think, is one of the key motivating factors for these guys. They want to feel like they're being appreciated just for doing basic shit. Whereas, we have a higher standard of performance and higher expectations, and the shit that they do, we're doing as well. So it's not anything exceptional or stellar to us. But, like this one lady mentioned, she says, in Thailand, you make like $6 a day. And here in America, at the time that documentary was made, she's like minimum wage at that time was $6 an hour. So she's looking at, man, got a big come up, but she doesn't realize the cost of living here is 6 times higher as well. So, kind of blows that argument out. But she was just looking at the bottom line of how much she'd be getting on her paycheck. And that is a huge difference to her. And so it makes a difference in her gratefulness of the man who married her. But let me talk about these countries. Russia is the number one. They say it's the best country to get a wife. Estonia, Latvia, Ukraine is number 6. There's Finland on this list, and Poland brings it out to number 10. And then if you like Asian women, they're like, go to Japan, it's 89.1% female there. Thailand and Laos, Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Indonesia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Those are very high countries with extremely high ratios of females to male. Then they say the worst European countries are Ireland, the UK, Cyprus, the Netherlands, Italy, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, France, and Greece. Now, when you get into the African countries, they on the dishonorable mention list. I thought that was kind of interesting. New Zealand is there, as well as Israel, Australia, Uruguay, and Turkey. So those are considered the worst areas. Those ones I just read off at the end. But let's talk about. I wanted to share some of these stories with you about guys who got taken, and I, you know, I'm still trying to struggle to understand why these guys think. I mean, what's the logic that makes you think that everything is going to be so peachy keen just because somebody speaks with an accent? Um, and also, I think we also got to keep a lookout for the fact that a lot of these guys, the angry, violent tendencies that they demonstrate online towards American women or British women, they're going to still have those same attitudes with these poor women who are going to be basically in a situation where they're trapped with these knuckleheads, and like enduring getting beaten and sexually assaulted, mistreated on a daily basis by some man who's okay. First he was desperate to have somebody, now he's terrified that she's going to leave him. And especially the more beautiful she is, he knows he will never get nobody like that again unless he comes out of pocket for some more money. So on Reddit, they had this thread that has had like more than 10,000 comments from guys, because they asked. And keep in mind too, Reddit is mostly white boys, so just leave that wherever you need to leave it. But they were talking about the different situations that they had, and they were seeking experiences with people who had dated and or married a woman from another country with the intent to marry her. They're basically looking for a foreign bride. Whether it actually went down that way or not, they still wanted to hear the story. And it says, like, here's one that says, one user described the process of ordering a bride from Russia or the Philippines, where thousands of women are desperate to start a new life for themselves in the United States or over in the UK. And he talked about how much it costs, between 10,000 US dollars and $15,000, although some of the people on the thread said they paid as much as $50,000. And this thread was from some years ago. And he said that, not only do they not really speak English, you have to hire a translator for phone conversations and to translate correspondence. So that's an additional expense. Then when you become serious about a woman, you got to purchase her address, right? So that this is the business part of it. They get their money if you want to send letters and gifts. So that usually costs, whatever, about $20 or something, no big deal. $20, $30 for each address that you get. And so let me share some of the stories that they told. This one guy, where is it? I know I printed it out. Oh, he says, so his bride shows up, right? Somebody he knew when he was in the Navy. So the bride shows up and they're like, oh, damn, They're like, she was beautiful and she had like these great tits and this whole thing. So dude comes in the next day to say that it turned out that his bride was actually a man. Ha ha ha! And he said they had to have a disciplinary class so that they all would, stop teasing him. And can you imagine the trauma though? This poor guy, he's thinking that he's got a wife and it turns out he's got a husband. Said, wow, that's messed up. This other guy was talking about how this man he knew got taken. The guy was, he said, one of the creepiest, most disgusting persons I've ever met, since he rarely took a shower or even brushed his teeth. But he married this woman from Thailand, and that during that process, he had bought a lot of property over in Thailand that were all registered in her name, because unless you're a Thai citizen, they don't let you own anything, in their country. So everything was in her name. So they stayed married for a couple of years, and then she left his ass and divorced him and went back to Thailand and was the rich bitch balling out of control on shit that he had bought for her. Now see, so she did like a long-term scam on him, and he says at the end that he thinks he's living in a one-bedroom apartment now. And I'm just like, oh, oh my God, I was rolling. So, but you put all these stories together, what are these dudes really getting that's so beneficial that they couldn't find in a woman here? I mean, yes, there's going to be risks. There's risks of somebody using you, risks of somebody's taking you. But isn't that what a prenup is about? I mean, we have those now, you guys. You don't really have to worry about that. I mean, why are you focusing on something that you could prevent? I mean, eliminate that. That's what a prenup is for. You just, give her 20 grand or whatever, and then call it, it's a wrap. So why are you focusing on that as the reason to why you have to go halfway around the world to find somebody who could conceivably do the exact same thing to you? It's not like because she's got an accent that she's not going to rip you off and take you for half. And most likely she's going to get more than half because she doesn't even speak the language, and you brought her here from her country. So you're going to be on the hook for even more money. You're going to have to pay some hella alimony, which you wouldn't have to pay in America because she got a job. You guys don't even understand what you're doing to yourself. You're fucking yourself over. Your logic is all messed up in the head. So this dude here, this story, he was 38, she was 18, and it says he'd been divorced by his previous wife for hitting her in the head and beating her head against the wall. He had a violent history with other women as well. So the relationship with her fell through because of his abusive behavior. They got divorced in August of 2000. Her body was found in December of 2000, and it was revealed that he killed her after she found out about his homosexual love affair. And says he pinned her down while his boyfriend strangled her to death. So she was his beard, and she, found out about it, and he was scared that people were gonna uncover his secret side, so he killed her. Another woman moved to the Philippines. I mean, this guy moved to the Philippines to get a wife, and she was only 19, right? He's in his mid 40s, and they waited until they agreed to wait until they got married to have sex, right? Because she was a virgin. So she gets to the United States in March of 2009, and they moved to a rural part of Washington State. But a month later, she went to the police reporting that he was raping her on a daily basis. It began almost as soon as she arrived, and it turned out that he had lied about abusive behavior in previous relationships when he had applied for the fiancé visa. And he was sentenced to 21 years of prison, and he was 52 when they put his ass in there. So, see, he brought her over to use as a sex slave. So he thought. So, I mean, there's a lot to think about here. I mean, I know this is kind of rambling because I had so many thoughts about this. But, these women are at risk. I mean, they're seriously at risk, ladies. It's not really too much we can do about it. But I just wanted to point it out. They try to say, well, we're going to go get us a woman from another country. And, you American women aren't shit. And blah, blah, blah. But in reality, the risk to them financially are actually, as I said, I think is greater because the women, they're not going to be able really to support themselves. They're going to have the language and communication barrier as well as no support system in place that an American woman would have since she was born and raised here. So the courts are going to be even deeper in your pockets, my brothers, because if she decides to leave you if you mistreat her, because she's going to need a greater amount of support because you've been, her sole provider. So they going to be need. You thought you was going to have some payback with an American. They going to take everything, all your shit. And at least with Americans, you only have to pay half. So, you really need to think about this. Really what you need to do is work on yourself. Jumping on a plane and trying to escape yourself and your, poor communication skills and your poor social skills and your poor clothes. Get rid of them shirts you got with the short sleeves. That shit is like, who does that? Who wears those? You wear that when you go golfing or something, but you don't wear that stuff. You don't look like that on a date. Put on a shirt with some goddamn long sleeves. Cover up that hair on your arms and stuff. That's no one you think want to look at that. Just the God don't know. You don't know how to dress. You don't know how to talk to women. You don't know anything. Your bodies look terrible. Your face looks jacked up. You don't know how to talk to people. And you think that getting on a plane and going to get some poor woman who can't even fucking speak English is going to be the solution to your problem. So, ladies, don't let that impact you at all. It's really laughable when you think about how desperate they are to have a woman. What I feel sorry for is the ladies, and I really think with them being in a situation that they're scrambling around trying to survive, and they're taking pretty much any guy that shows some interest in them that's halfway decent, so they can get the fuck up out of poverty and have a regular meal and a roof over their head and some running water and doctor visits and stuff like that. They're looking at these relationships as a survival mechanism, whereas these guys are looking at it as just pussy, in-house pussy, and a woman that looks good that they would never, ever, ever, ever be able to get here in their current state. So just looking at this, it's a very sad situation, and like I said, I think it's like an undercover way to sex traffic. Whether the guys are a willing participant and knowingly, doing what they're doing, knowing that they're buying this woman or not, that's essentially what it is. Because they pay all these quote fees and matchmaker fees and what they call it, bridal tour fees and all this stuff. That's essentially what they're doing. They're shopping for a woman, which is, to me, that's sex trafficking. You bringing her to your country, she has nothing to do, and she's just going to be relying on you, and you're going to be fucking her. That's she's being sex trafficked, and that's the bottom line. So that's the sick rant of the day. It's kind of disturbing. That's why I'm not my usual loud, perky self, but it's just something I thought that needed to be addressed. Just ignore them when they start talking about they're going to go to the foreign country, because if a motherfucker broke, he's working at some little Home Depot or some shit, he's not going to have no money to be paying all these fees. He's just running off at the mouth. You don't have the money to get a foreign bride. It costs bank. So, I now have facts and figures. I know how much it costs, and I know you don't have the money. So shut the fuck up. This is Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com signing out.